Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony here with you today. Focusing in on the feeling of loss, the feeling of pain, the feeling of missing somebody after a breakup, essentially, with a narcissistic or, more importantly, a psychopathic individual. The psychopath is very high on the cluster B spectrum, the personality disorder as defined by the DSM-5R. And in terms of that character personality, we have the narcissistic, we have the borderline, but really at the top is the narcissist. And these are the people who really take a relationship love bomb to the next level. They take it to the degree where they have refined their reading of people. They have really been able to suss out. They've been able to size people up. They've been able to really observe, watch with that gaze and really determine what people like, what makes people tick. And if they're after you for a romantic relationship, a love relationship, a business partnership, you know, they're going to be putting on the charm. They're going to be really laying it on pretty heavy. And especially in the beginning, it feels really oceanic, like as if you almost lose yourself, as if you are in a state of euphoria or bliss, a state of complete lack of self-consciousness, if you will, as if, you know, just a cloud shuttle bus had just come along and like lifted you off the ground, where you feel weightless, you feel so impassioned by this person, and they just seem to treat you in the right way. They seem to say all the right things. They seem to help you in different voids of your life that you needed assistance with and you didn't know you needed assistance with. They seem to just kind of come in, and all of a sudden they're clicking on many levels with you. And especially with the love bombing, you know, with various relationships, this can take a number of, you know, different stages in terms of how long the love bombing takes, and then the devalue, and then the discard. But I want to really focus in on that feeling of really the separation from this person after experiencing a profound sort of attachment bond, a trauma bond, as defined by John Bradshaw, which in essence is an attachment. It's not a reflection or validation of love, warmth, mirroring of your qualities. It's more a bond. It's a sort of connection, an indelible connection that is there out of need, out of exploitation, out of control. And this very sort of cycle that is perpetuated, I want you to realize that it's impacting you in a number of areas of your life. And when you're trying to separate, you're really trying to break free of that idealized version of them, that idealized vision of them, and you need to get a very realized vision of them. The idealization occurs because the love bombing is so profound that people are willing and very complying with overlooking the violations that these people have created in their life. And so they will make excuses for them. They will try to deny that this is happening. They will try to make excuses or say it's not that bad. They'll barter with themselves back and forth. You know, it's okay, I can let it go this time, I can let it go this time. And then you start pushing the boundaries with yourself. You start reducing your standards and, you know, violating your very own principles, your very own boundaries. You begin, you know, the bargaining back and forth with yourself. You know, I'll just get to this and this level with them, and then we'll have this and this talk, and then, you know, I'll shut it down. And, you know, all this various sundry sort of self-talk and really self-denial that starts to create a cocoon, if you will, around you and this person. It creates an enmeshment. It deepens the bond. And really what it's doing is it's deepening the addiction. It's deepening your sort of exasperated helplessness with this person. So you're solidifying a sense of helplessness, which is very contrary to living your destiny. Not to say that this relationship with this person is not meant to be in your life. I really do feel, and I tell my clients oftentimes, that this person here is to teach you a lesson. It's meant to be an eye-opener to see really, where your boundaries are, where your boundaries need to exist, and to actually, make you aware that there's these types of people in life who will absolutely positively take advantage of you at all costs, and to your detriment and to your destruction. I mean, it's not just, like your player, ego, macho guy. It's someone who's after your lifeblood. It's very, very serious. And I find, when people are involved with these relationships, they really do not want to accept the seriousness of the relationship crippling ability to overwhelm and really sort of latch on that attachment. And then they tend to kind of relish in that attachment and don't want to detach. They have a separation anxiety where they feel very afraid without them. It's almost like a young child. When we look at the developmental stages, like of Erickson, another psychologist, he talks about separation anxiety that we see in children. For example, if a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old is being left with a babysitter, and then the mother is going, and then they're like, bye, and then that child, is crying. It's a separation anxiety. It's their primary caregiver. It's like their reality is leaving them, and they feel a complete sense of fear, panic, and terror, like my caregiver, my world, basically, because they haven't separated, they haven't individuated yet. They're still in that very much, those really very, what's the word I'm looking for? The stages of, the very immature stages of development where they haven't developed beyond an identity. They're still very much, their identity is their parents. In other words, when you have an infant isn't aware that they exist. They will look into their parents' eyes, and whatever that parent feels, they will feel. So when the parent, smiles back, happy, then that child will feel happy. So it's like the child and that parent have a close bond, and there's no separation in that child's eyes, really, until they get to be, 3, 4, 5, and they begin to realize that they have power over their world outside of their parents. So that separation anxiety that we see at age 2 and 3, when they feel like their world is leaving them, that's very much the same sort of panic and sort of, loss of connection that a person who is very much attached to a psychopathic or narcissistic controlling individual. So, what to do when this occurs? A lot of people feel like their pain is going to be endless. It's never going to stop. It's going to take them over. It's going to take over their life. They're not able to get focused anymore. They feel like they've done something hideously wrong, heinously wrong, feeling like they have deprived this person when they haven't. This is feeling like they have, disrespected this person when they haven't. All this blame shifting comes pouring back on them like a cement truck. And essentially, they feel buried in this negativity, this toxicity, and feeling like they just can't move. They become very immobilized. It's a very low energy, and realize that, in life, growth, life is meant to be lived, moved through, and, that's growth. And these people oftentimes will stunt and stifle their growth with all this negativity and baggage and control that becomes basically dumped on you for you to deal with rather than them dealing with. So if you're feeling like, you're arriving into like this endless sort of, feeling like of despair, like an abyss of despair, like it's never going to end, realize it is going to end. You have to pull your, for the lack of the old saying, you have to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But more than that, you have to pull yourself up by the solar plexus, which is the seat of your core. When people talk about like working your core in yoga, or working your core in martial arts, or working your core in abdominal work, You know, your body is your subconscious mind. So it means that, you know, the feelings that you feel in your body are a reflection of your beliefs about yourself. So if you feel helpless, weak, defenseless, you're going to feel this real lethargy, lack of energy in your body, and you're going to feel, you know, you're not where you're at in your life, and you have all this sort of meaning and interpretation. So overcoming this, as I speak very many times in the videos here, is that, and I repeat this several times again and again, that, you know, awareness is the first step. You have to become aware of, you know, your role in the relationship. A lot of people don't see that. They tend to think, oh, wow, I'm with this pathological person, but you have to realize that you do permit them to be in your life, and you do permit them to make you feel less than. And a lot of people don't really get that, and I want you to let that soak in. And I'm thinking, what was it, Eleanor Roosevelt, you only feel as bad as you allow people to make you feel, or something along those lines. Basically, once you really realize that very interesting universal truth, you can only feel, you know, you can only reduce how you feel about yourself if you allow it, if you let somebody make you feel that way. So it's really getting a control of your emotions. It's really getting a control from your solar plexus back in your I am statements, and really realizing that you have done nothing wrong. You don't have to, you know, feel this, you know, incredible pain after missing someone who has betrayed you. You know, realize that it's an addiction at play. Realize that there's a part of you that is getting into a little bit of a masochistic sort of, you know, position where you have to take care of this person for lack of seeing the bigger and better world. So if this is taking place, think, you know, kind of reflect back in your life and see if there's where it might have this origin, you know, and if you've been, you know, with this person too long, identify the different events, perhaps where they violated you and, you know, belittled you, and, you know, use triangulation, and then you let it continue, where you let the abuse continue. Sometimes, you know, if you're living with someone and they're a family member, you know, you can't exactly just up and move and, you know, and not be living with them, but you know, you might be in a cycle of abuse if you're living with these people until you can break free. But you know, realize that you know, where were the roles in your life where, in essence, you know, you might have had some power or feigned powerless over it, or you had some self-limiting beliefs that caused you to stay in a very abusive relationship for too long. So identify some of these moving parts, if you will. I think it'll be very valuable, and it might not resonate with you for even months or even years until you realize that as you begin to grow and become more empowered and have that belief in yourself, and realize that a lot of this abuse was thrust onto you, and unbeknownst to you had eroded a feeling of self-esteem and all that good stuff that we've been talking about here. You know, realize that, you know, it's very important to be able to let them go and let go of that abuse, that abusive behavior. Even if you've had a familial relationship, a marriage relationship, a business associate, it's very, very important to let them go and, you know, feign, you know, a declaration of your own safety, security, and happiness. There's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. Whoever deluded you into thinking it was wrong to take care of yourself, reevaluate that as soon as possible and realize how important it is. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.